Hey guys, how's it going? This is probability 3. Hopefully everything's going good for you. Make sure you're keeping up with everything. Turn things in. Email me if you have questions. A lot of you are doing it. Good job. Just make sure you don't pile everything on because first off, that takes off a percentage of your grade for late work, and then also, if you learn every day, it's a lot easier than learning 5 lessons in one day. So you guys have 8 hours a day, which you would be in school, so let's use that wisely, please. Again, most of you are doing a good job. But today, this is going to be our third lesson, probability, and we're going to make predictions based on probabilities, okay? This is probably a skill that you've talked about in middle school. I don't think it should be too difficult. In case there's any confusion, prediction, it's to say or estimate that something will happen in the future. So I predict we won't have school tomorrow. No, that's cheap. But we're going to be predicting things based off probability. So feel free to pause this to write this down. So, first question. Michaela has an MP3 player called the Jumble. The Jumble randomly selects a song for the user to listen to. Michaela's Jumble has 4 techno songs, 2 country songs, and 3 jazz songs on it. Michaela plans to listen to 270 songs. So predict how many country songs she will listen to. So, let me get my handy dandy pen. Is it red? Good. So, the way we're going to do this, let's just think about the probability that the first song is country. So, the total number of country songs is 2. So that's the total number of favorable outcomes over how many songs are total. Well, there's 4 plus 2 is 6 plus 3 is 9. Sorry. And so the probability that she listens to the first song that's randomly selected is a country song. The probability of that is 2 over 9. However, that's for one song, right? She's going to do that 270 times. So this is as easy as doing 2 over 9 times 270. Because we want that probability, but we want to do that 270 times. Okay? And so in your calculator, I would type 2 divided by 9 times 270, and you get 60. So if she lets her Jumble randomly select songs 270 times, she should expect to listen to about 60 country songs. Now, just like theoretical probability, this isn't what happens in real life. Like, this is the theoretical probability, but if this happened, you could have way less, way more. It's randomized, okay? Well, sorry. It was 60 songs. You guys can go back if you didn't write that down in time. Predict how many jazz songs she will listen to. Well, same thing. Let's think about the probability that the first song that it randomly selects is jazz. So there's 3 jazz songs in total. So there's 3 favorable outcomes. And we said there was 9 total. Well, that simplifies to 1 over 3. Okay? And so that 1/3 is the probability that the first song is a jazz song, but that's just one song playing. So again, they're going to do it 270 times. So you're going to times by 270. So you do 1 divided by 3 times 270, and you get 90 jazz songs. Okay? So the only thing new we're doing is basically you find a probability. The theoretical, this isn't an experiment, right? So this is theoretical probability, and you're multiplying it by the total number of times you're going to do that thing to predict how many jazz songs she will listen to. Now again, it doesn't have to be accurate, but we're just predicting. The Office tricked Dwight into thinking part of his job as assistant to the regional manager is to spin the spinner repeatedly. Predict how many times Dwight will spin a yellow if he spins the spinner 300 times. Okay, so yellow 300 times. So I'm going to change my color to yellow. Well, as we see, there's only one yellow triangle. And now we need to count all the total triangles. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 total spinners or triangles or sections, and one of them is yellow. So that's the probability that if you spin it once, you get a yellow. But we want to predict how many times he should get a yellow if he spins it 300. So we're just going to multiply it by 300. So you get 1 divided by 12 times by 300, and you get 25. So that's how many times you should expect to spin a yellow if you spin that spinner 300 times. Now again, it doesn't have to be accurate, it's all theoretical. But the next part, how many times do we spin a green? So because an artist, gotta go with green. So again, there's 12 total triangles or sections. How many of them are green? We got 1, 2, 3. So 3 of them are green. Well, that simplifies down, right? You could divide both by 3. You get 1 over 4. That's the probability that if you spin the spinner once, you get a green. But we're going to spin it 300 times. So let's multiply that by 300. So you type 1 divided by 4 times by 300. You get 75 times. So again, that's how many times you should expect to roll green if you spin 300 times. Doesn't have to be that way, it's just theoretical. Alright, so Aaron is bored during quarantine. He's so bored that he's going to shuffle the deck and draw a card. Every time he draws a card, he puts it back and reshuffles. Predict how many times Aaron will draw a heart if he repeats this 220 times. So first, predict how many times I'll get a heart. So, let's get my pen. Again, heart refers to suits if we're not aware of cards. There's 4 suits. You got clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. So you got 4 suits. So hearts could be any one of these cards. Okay? There's 52 cards total again, which means if you divide that by 4, there's 13 in each. So how many heart cards are there? There's 13 hearts. Over how many total? Well, there's 52. Which the hearts is 1/4 of the deck, right? Which 13 over 52 simplifies to 1/4. So that's the probability you select a heart when drawing just one card. That's just one time though. I want to do that 220 times. Okay? So you would do 1 divided by 4 times 220. Oh, that should be 0. Times 220, and you get 55 times. So if you do that 220 times, you should get about 55 hearts. Again, prediction doesn't have to happen. Predict how many times he'll get a red card. Well, there's 13 hearts and there's 13 diamonds. So there's 26 favorable outcomes. And again, there's 52 in the total deck. Which, if you think about it, the reds make up half the cards. And just like this fraction right here simplifies to 1/2. Well, then that's probability of getting a red card with 1 pick. You have to do that 220 times. So you get 110 times. Okay? So it's not really easy. Again, the only thing we're adding to this is multiplying by the number of times you're going to do it, and that's your prediction. Okay? One final type of problem, it's a little different. Predict how many times would Aaron have to draw to get 5 kings. Okay, so same setup. I just wanted to get 5 kings. So I'm going to stop once I get 5 kings. So let's find the probability of getting a king. Well, there's 4 total kings. And again, there's 52 cards in a deck. So you can simplify that fraction down. In the long run, it won't make a difference on your final answer, to be honest. But that's the probability you get a king. Okay? Now, if you recall, we were multiplying by the number of times, and that equaled our value, right? Well, we have our value, which is 5 kings, right? What we're missing is how many times I need to draw to get 5 kings. So it's really 1 times 13, or 1 over 13 times, well, this value right here. This is a number that we don't know. And so usually if there's a number we don't know, we put a variable. I'm going to say t just for times equals 5. Well, how do we solve for 1 over 13? Well, this is times, so remember you multiply by a reciprocal. So you divide, or you times by 13 over 1 times by 13 over 1. These cancel on the left. So you get t equals, well, 5 times 13 gets you 65. So that's how many times we would need to draw to get 5 kings. So if you guys saw, this was almost opposite. Okay, this was, we weren't given how many times we were going to draw. We were given our end result, which is drawing 5 kings. And so it's exactly backwards, okay? I'm going to do one more of these. This time, let's change the value. Let's not do 5 kings. Let's just do 20, I don't know, red cards. Let's just do red cards. So first off, you gotta find the probability of the red cards. So we said earlier that they make up 1/2 of the deck. So the probability that you get a red card is 1/2. Now we need to get 20 cards, 20 red cards. So we have 1/2 times the number of times we're going to draw, and that's going to equal 20 red cards. Okay? And so again, we're going to write it as math. I'm going to write this as t again, a number we don't know, so I'm going to represent it with a variable, equals 20. Well, again, how do you solve for t? You have 1/2 times t. You have to multiply by reciprocal, which is 2 over 1 times by 2 over 1. So t equals 40 times. Okay, so that's a little more challenging type of problem. You might have one of these on your homework, but the main purpose of this was just the predictions. So, like how many times would we get a yellow, okay? Or how many times would we get a heart if we spun 220 times, okay? So this one, a little different, a little more difficult. But overall, I think it's manageable. So again, make sure we're staying on top of our homework. Make sure we're asking the questions if need be. And with that, I will see you guys tomorrow.